Oh, hello, and welcome to the Women's Stories podcast, where we share wisdom and stories. We are all made up of stories that we tell ourselves every day. Sometimes those stories are written by us, and sometimes they're written for us, and sometimes we need to rewrite them. So today I am joined by my dear friend Amber. Amber and I met in the COVID pandemic when we both joined an online Mothers Circle called Mothers Worthy, which is run by Beth Berry. And we did it for 12 months, so we got to know each other quite well. And during that time, Amber had a beautiful little ginger boy who's now almost 3. I can't believe it. And we actually haven't spoken face to face like this since we were in our Mother's Circle online. You are in Texas, right? In the US? Yeah, and
Texas.
I'm in Sydney, Australia, so we don't get to see each other in person. But thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to see you again, and I'm so honored that you thought of me for this. And I've been telling all my friends about it, and I was so excited to do this. So,
Yay. So, how do you identify now? Because before you had a kid, you were working, right? So you were working, was it in outdoorsy stuff? Am I remembering correctly?
yeah,
And
yeah.
how's that shifted in your identity before you were mum to now? Or your priorities on how you earn your money, or who looks after your kid, or just how your life has changed in priorities.
Well, I found out I was pregnant it was, halfway through 2020, so full on COVID time. And I was about 4 months away from graduating from college. And I went to college later in life and got my bachelor's degree in outdoor recreation administration. And, my husband and I had planned on like, cool, end of 2020, we've got 2 full incomes in the household. We're going to be able to start doing stuff. And, but during my college career, a lot of my certifications for my being an outdoor instructor, guide, administrator, everything was kind of expiring. And so college kind of prepped me for that life change. So when I was graduating, one of the classes I had to take was like a business management class and an entrepreneurial class. So like the main assignment for that class was to write a business plan. And I was like, I want to have my own campground. I would love to have a very large a very large plot of land. It would be a primitive campground that at the front, you can get really great federal grants if you keep the majority of the land wild, especially if it's like a area that's, excuse me, at risk of commercialization or becoming a residential neighborhood. And I want to do this in Washington State. And so there's a lot of Native American territories up there. So if it's and butts up to Native American land or national park land, that's something that like the federal government would give you a grant to keep that wild so it doesn't get developed. And so I was like, awesome, I'm going to have this primitive campground. And I was learning all about like the early conservationists and transcendental authors, and further learning about Leave No Trace and concepts like that. And so I was like, at the front, I'll have like forest bathing and mindfulness classes and transcendental classes, and like to camp on my property, you either
That sounds
have to,
amazing.
right? Like I've gotten really great feedback from it anytime I talk to anybody about it. I just need to get an investor. But yeah, so that was my idea. Spring semester of 2020. Fall semester of 2020, I'm pregnant. So I was literally up in Colorado recertifying for basically the last time my wilderness first responder certification when I found out I was pregnant. And I was in the middle of the certification. We're camping, and I was like, man, I just do not feel good day after day after day. Like normally it doesn't take this long for me to acclimate. Like what is going on? And finally I was like, oh yeah, I haven't really had a period in a month or so. Like maybe I should go take a test. And so I did on like my lunch break of the middle of like a full day, 8-hour
That's
class.
hilarious.
And I was also on, I just, I had to go back to class, and I came back from lunch early to tell my teachers. I was just like, what? Like, what do I do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? And just was like losing my mind. And so I was very, very happy. My husband and I had been wanting to get pregnant for a long time. It just didn't really seem like it was going to happen. And so, um, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, then it was like, okay, all right, like let's start preparing to be a mom now. And so December 2020, I graduated college, and that's about the last time I did anything with that career.
Yeah. Motherhood takes over, right?
It does, and I don't want to say like I didn't have a choice. I could have made different choices. But I was 41. No, I was 40. I was 40 when I got pregnant. So it was like, okay, well, this is never happening again. I'm never going to have another chance at this. So this is it. Like, when I was younger, it was like, okay, well, maybe later I'll get pregnant or whatever. But this was it. Like, I wasn't going to get another chance. So that's why I really wasn't even, I didn't really even think about anything else. It was just like, all right, it is go time. I am now a mom. I'm focusing fully on this being a mother. I am focusing hardcore on my pregnancy. And then after having him, I was an instructor before. I was a guide, I was an educator, and I love all of that. But after having my son, it was like, well, I just want to teach him now. I don't want to teach other people's kids or other adults, or I just want to teach him. And so I work very part-time in completely unrelated field. I work as it's called a brand ambassador. And so I'm sure you guys probably have these in Australia too, but like it's the lady that sits in the grocery store, the liquor store, and is like, would you like a sample of vodka? Would you like a sample of wine? And so I haven't done anything I haven't gone camping. I've sold all of my boats. I've been working in liquor business since my son
It's
was
amazing
born.
how motherhood changes your priorities, right? And it slows everything down. So, it's been 3 years and you haven't done anything, but doesn't mean that you might not pick it up later, and you might have sold your boats, but doesn't mean that you might not buy them later, because it's really hard to go in a little boat with a 3-year-old, right? So, but when he gets older, when he's like 6 or 7, you might pick it up again, and then And oh, I can just imagine the two of you outdoors, ginger hair everywhere, spotting them in the green trees. And yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do because you want to do the best by your kids, and for you that choice was being with him, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I never for one second have considered daycare or like, and I'm not judging anybody that makes their choices for how they want to parent or anything like that. It just never felt right for me. And there's also other factors. So I can't be like holier than thou, like it never felt right. But it's also like Austin is just astronomically expensive for everything. And I literally, even with just graduating from college, couldn't find a job that would pay me more hourly than daycare would cost.
Yeah,
Daycare would,
I think the price of daycare is like an issue around the Western world. It's pretty crazy here, and it was pretty crazy in the UK where I used to live as well.
yeah, so I was never, we were never going to be able to afford to do it. And I nursed my son till um he was 2.5, and I had to stop because of health reasons that we can talk about in a little bit. But we bed share, so he was nursing all night every night, and that definitely came with like back pains and some issues, but it was also like a beautiful, beautiful time and relationship. And we're done nursing now, but we still bed share. And I mean, he is the best cuddler. Like my 3-year-old puts his arm out for me to put my head on his arm. And he wraps his arms around, like this is my head, and he'll like wrap his arms around my neck. And that's how we go to sleep. And it's just like, just full body touching, cuddling to get spooning. And just, I don't know where I would be mentally without that oxytocin.
Yeah,
My
I mean,
nightly
I can
oxytocin.
hear your love radiating out through your words right now. Yeah, that's super cute.
Well,
Let's talk about your health issues. Let's where are you at with that? Tell us what's happening or what you want to share about what's happening.
yeah. So I'm 42 now. I got my first mammogram last year when I was 41. So I don't know why I didn't get it when I was 40. That's usually when they start doing mammograms in the States. But anyway, so I got my first mammogram last July, and they found breast cancer. And it was, my breast surgeon was like, "You've got the best kind of cancer," because it was called DCIS, ductile carcinoma in situ, and it's basically stage 0. So it is cancer, but it's almost like precancerous. And yeah, they caught it very early, and I was able to fully get it removed. So they confirmed that it was, I had what is that word? Biopsy. I had a biopsy in August that confirmed that it was the breast cancer. And for all the ladies out there, like, please, 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 please get your mammograms. Mine was 3 millimeters. This is not something that you can feel. If I would have waited till I could like, oh, I'm doing my thing and I can feel it, like it would have been too late. So very first mammogram.
And you breastfed for 2.5 years, which usually isn't in like minimizes breast cancer. Do you have breast cancer in your family?
No. So I didn't have the genetic marker for breast cancer, nobody in my family has breast cancer. Like they have cancer, but not breast cancer. So, and luckily I was estrogen receptive and I forgot what the other one was because there's triple negative, which means you're basically going to get stuck having to get like a mastectomy because it's just not receptive to treatment. So, so yeah, there was really nothing, no reason I should have got breast cancer, really. But yeah, I nursed up until the day before the lumpectomy. Um, you're not really supposed to do that, but because they don't want to have milk in the ducts because the cancer was in the milk ducts, basically. And they don't want to have milk in the milk ducts while they're doing surgery. But it just it'll still kind of bring tears to my eyes that like that's the reason I had to quit nursing was like, the stupid cancer. It couldn't have been anywhere else. It had to
Yeah, that's
be
tough. That's tough.
there. Like if it
Yeah.
was skin cancer,
Amazing that you did 2.5 years. That's a lot longer than a lot of people do, hey. But still, it's really tough to have that beautiful journey and then have to cut it short and it's not in your control.
right. Like I mean, I was definitely getting to the point where I was like, okay, like I think we can start stopping, but having to stop was not cool. And yeah, not having it in your control was not cool. But yeah, we had to do 2 lumpectomies. They didn't get all of it in the first one. So I had a surgery the last day of October and then again November 15th. The doctors couldn't really get their shit together fast enough for me to do my radiation in the same year, which would have been nice to have it all on one calendar year and, covered by insurance. Instead, we had to start over with the deductible the next year. And the radiation was 21 days. I did not have to do chemo, which was awesome. And I do want to mention that before I went ahead with anything, so they recommended a lumpectomy and 21 days or 3 weeks of radiation and an estrogen blocking drug called tamoxifen. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do my own research now. And so I fully interviewed the breast surgeon, the radiation doctor, and the medical oncologist and got all the information I could. And then I did my own research because I was like, I really don't want to go through radiation. This estrogen, this tamoxifen drug sounds really crappy. Like maybe I'll just do a mastectomy. And they have a procedure, I think it's called LEAP, it's an acronym LEAP, and it's where they take basically fat from your lower belly area and put it into your boob. So I was like, great, tummy tuck and boob job and get rid of the cancer all at the same time. That sounds fantastic, right? Until I started looking at like the pictures and they basically cut you in half from like hip to hip. I mean, it is a massive scar that like you can't walk upright afterwards for like a month because you don't want to like tear. And so that just seemed so anyway, I did end up I just wanted to make a mention that I chose to, I took their advice and then I chose my own after I did my own research, I was like, okay, yes, I think that I agree with you. And so I did the radiation and right now I am preparing for the estrogen treatment, the estrogen inhibitor treatment, and it's a drug that you take for 5 years, and it's I've gotten mixed feedback as far as like some people say that it puts you into menopause. Some people say it just has menopause like symptoms that will go away. Some people say that you might even be, after a couple of months, asymptomatic and it won't bother you at all. My reoccurrence rate was after the lumpectomies and the radiation is down to 4%, which is like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. It's already a single digit, but apparently that's still considered high risk. Anything over 2% is considered high risk, which I don't know. You can make up your own mind about that. Though I don't always agree with Western medicine, and the legality issues of it and everything. They're more interested in saving their own business and their own asses than they are about saving yours sometimes. So, but unfortunately I was like, okay, let's do this stupid tamoxifen, like at least try, if it sucks, I'll just stop taking it. But, unfortunately, the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine that I've been on pretty much since I got married, red flag, reduce the metabolism of the tamoxifen. So since the beginning of June, I've been tapering off of my antidepressants, and then I'm going to get on another antidepressant, give that a couple months, and then get on the tamoxifen, give that so it's going to be like October, basically. It's going to be like a year since the lumpectomies before I finally get on tamoxifen. So getting off of the antidepressants and stuff has been a very big emotional roller coaster. I started to wean off too quickly and just got hit with like 10 out of 16 of their withdrawal symptoms and was just like a mess. And so I have been doing a better job of tapering, but it has definitely affected my ability to be the mom that my son deserves and the mom that I want to be. Just because I can't, or I have difficulty trying to hide some of the more extreme emotions from my son.
I was about to ask, how does it... Oh, choking on some food. I was about to ask, how is it parenting, going through all of this and explaining to your son what's happening, or trying to be strong when he's around?
It's been very challenging, and as I've read on your Instagram and Facebook or social media posts, and like we learned in Motherworthy, it's important for our kids to see the whole us and not like, mommy's fine, mommy's always fine, and see real emotions. But it's just, I do feel bad when I'm short with him because I'm tired and I have a headache and I have nausea from the withdrawal symptoms, or like mommy's sobbing in the bathroom because my partner is an emotional child. And I'm really aware of the parentification that my mom did with me. And that's something I don't want to pass on to my son. And I mean, he's only 3, but still, like, he's comforted me more than once.
Yeah, he's aware. He's empathetic.
Oh, so much. So much so. I mean, I can't remember what it's like the first 6 months or something to a year, they think that we're one body. You know, like your daughter doesn't know that she's a separate entity from you. She thinks that you guys are one body. What you feel, she feels, and vice versa. And
That's why she's always with me. And that's why she's here
right?
now.
Yeah. No, and I love that. I love that. You know, and she's happy because she's with you and like and I don't want to ever I don't know. I don't want that to taint his childhood. I don't want that to be a core memory or a core personality characteristic influencer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And that's a totally valid feeling that you have. Nobody wants to pass on their baggage to their children. And
No.
you've got a lot going on. So I can totally understand that.
And it's
So where are
it's
you
just very
at? Where are you at now with your stories, the stories that you're telling yourself, the stories that you're being given? How are you feeling about those? Are you rewriting them or are you sitting with them? Tell me more.
um well, I really am so grateful for Beth's Motherworthy and the story retelling chapter, whatever, because that really did. And I've tried to pass that along to my other girlfriends who are pregnant or are already moms. And I do a lot of, I read a lot of self-help books. I'm in therapy, counseling, whatever. Um, I worked very hard to identify the origins of some of the more negative stories that I tell myself to be like, okay, is this actually something that I believe, or is this just something that I've been told over and over and over? One way that I've really come to, I've found some peace with my parents, you know, as the origin of most of my stories, is knowing that I can't change them and I can't fix the trauma that I went through, but I can stop it from continuing. And that's because I was getting really frustrated, like after being in college and taking these communications classes and just trying to fix things with my parents and having a better relationship with my parents, and just being not really getting anywhere, and then getting pregnant and then doing Motherworthy. It's like, okay, well, I can't fix the past, but I can at least fix it, you know, work towards making a better future. And that's helped me mentally a lot.
That's really powerful. That's amazing that you are bringing the power back to yourself, and that it's no longer with other people. I think you should really celebrate that. It's very brave what you're doing, and you're going through a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, I think motherhood is such an amazing catalyst to identity changing, rewriting our stories, identifying our stories, and then also becoming more embodied in ourselves as well and understanding our bodies. I'm mindful of time, so I want to leave our conversation. It's a beautiful conversation. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. With this idea that we are the stories that we tell ourselves, and sometimes we write those stories and sometimes they're written for us, which is a concept that, like you mentioned, I first found out about during our Mother's Circle together with Beth Berry. What would you say to listeners out there that need some encouragement to also think about rewriting their stories?
I think since so many of my stories I feel were written in fear based and judgment based, like you don't deserve this, or whatever, your body isn't attractive enough or whatever. I would say that, just look at your child, and anything that you have as a doubt about your physical body is like, your body made this. And, I look at my son, and he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And he's pure joy and energy and light. And this body made that. And
That.
so, yeah, so it's like, I can see like the lines on my neck and my double chin and all these things that I'm like, ugh, it's not my favorite view. But overall, like, my physical confidence has just gone up so much because it's this body created and fed this, not just made him, but fed him. And, and he looks at me with absolute love. He doesn't look at me and, like, I'll jiggle the fat on my belly, and he'll like play with it, and like, but it's funny. He's not like, oh, mom, you're so fat, or, or like I have a little mole on my shoulder, and he'll just come up and just like touch it and just be like, hi. And, he loves my body, and he loves me, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. And, I wanted
Such a beautiful reminder, right? So of your body, and you're going through breast cancer, and that's so powerful. But you also made a baby, and you fed him, and you can hold those two stories about yourself, that your body's amazing, but your body's also maybe struggling at the same time. So our bodies are amazing, I think.
They really are. I mean, all the stuff about nursing and breastfeeding is just so amazing. Like, it's just, yeah, our bodies are absolute miracles. And yeah.
I'm going to end our conversation there. I can't wait to hear when you start camping with your son and sharing all your wisdom from your outdoors and forest bathing, because I think forest bathing is crazy. Oh, there's some birds going crazy outside my window at the moment, and I live in the city, so that's my little bit of nature.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I hope that it goes well with all of the breast cancer stuff, and you're doing amazing work. I hope that anybody listening now can just resonate with you and see that a lot's going on, and you can hold that multiplicity of your stories of like, everything's great with this, but then also this is happening at the same time, and you mothers are just amazing. So yeah, I'm now beginning to ramble. So thank you very much for coming and chatting with me, and for sharing so vulnerably with the listeners.
Of course. Always. Thank you so much for letting me share.